Welcome back to another video of Undefendable. I am going to be doing a new tier list of the best champions based on statistics. This is not emotional. This is just, it is what it is. I'll do my best to explain why I think these heroes are where they are. I play in a competitive online league. Roughly played 70 games over the last couple months, two or 3 months. And the statistics are actually plugged in. All of the data is collected, and I have a list for everybody of the best champions, the close champions, the ones that are mid, the ones that you can sometimes bring, and then the ones that didn't make the cut. Ultimately, if the hero did not have 50 games under their belt, they're going to fall in the didn't make the cut, and then everything else is going to cycle where it goes. I did make a meta tier list just based off of my opinions not too long ago, so go and check that out, and let me know what you think. But we're going to hop into the data right here, and here it is. So over the last few months, this is the collection of all of the players in the league. It's about a 120-person league, give or take. And we collect all the data and all the win rates and all the games, and this is what happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take the data and plug these heroes in. So number one win rate hero is Iceman. Not wildly surprising. I know Iceman is a fan favorite in the league, and a lot of people do enjoy playing him. He is the highest win rate. He also has the most games played at 294 games over the last few months. But he is the reigning supreme champion of the league. And it doesn't surprise me. Iceman has a lot of versatility. His defense is okay, but really good if you can upgrade it. He does a good job drawing cards. He does a good job attacking. I would say one of his weaknesses is he doesn't have a lot of undefendable opportunities. And if he's swinging into good defensive heroes, he can somewhat be a little bit more challenged. But all in all, you can, in a bring 3, ban 1 environment, you can bring you can bring him and you can just ban their best defensive hero. And if they don't ban Iceman, he's going to have a really good win rate. The next one up is going to be Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the next best win rate hero at 215 games, very similar to Iceman. Not a ton of access to undefendable attacks. He does swing twice per turn most turns, but he does have an ability called Webbed that makes his next attack undefendable. So these two are just really quick aggro heroes. They're really simple game plans, and they're really easy to pilot most of the time. And it's no surprise that these two are at the top of the list. Next up, I want to eat my words a little bit here because I was a little bit of a Thor hater early on. A little bit of a Thor hater. Not that I hated him. I actually really enjoyed playing him. I didn't think he was as good as he was. And after playing more games with him, testing him, and then just getting my teeth kicked in by him a couple of times, I am a believer. If you can dig your deck and if you can upgrade your defense, Thor is probably one of the most busted heroes in the game, even after the nerf of his electrokinesis. He has draw engines, he has isolated damage sources, he has ways to draw outside of his abilities. He has a really good standard defense, and if you can upgrade it, it's just absolutely insane. So I think Thor's biggest weakness is undefendable damage. If you can come at him with undefendable damage, you got a better shot. But if you're swinging at him like Iceman, if Iceman's swinging into him twice a turn, Thor's going to be able to prevent a lot of damage, upwards of like 20 to 30 to even 36 a game. Just absolutely busted if you can't get undefendable damage. Thor is coming in at the third best champion of the season last couple months. Next up, not surprising, we have Black Widow. 287 games for Black Widow. She's a little bit of a slow roll character, but once she gets going, she is extremely devastating. A pretty good defense, nice upgraded defense, but if you can get her abilities upgraded, she has enough ways to survive to where she's going to be hitting you very, very, very hard. She also has ways to avoid defensive with time bombs and things like that and swing big into defenses at the right time. So just a really solid, versatile character, relatively easy to pilot. Just make sure when you're using your covert ops, you're hopefully getting red room, right? After that, next up we have Shadow Thief. Again, not wildly surprising. Shadow Thief is kind of like the boogeyman. He tends to come to the show and most of the time gets banned. But if you brought a roll 3, or if you brought 3 of these and banned 1, the person across from you is going to really start sighing pretty heavily, because these 5 are going to be devastating to see. Shadow Thief is there's a lot of ways to play Shadow Thief, but the most common one I see is you kind of stall the game out, draw a lot of cards, gain a lot of CP, and then get your premium dice mods in hand, and then you just do large straight alt, and he's a menace. Jean Grey making an appearance into the top. Not wildly surprising. She's at 204 games. I do tend to see her quite a bit. Her access for just a nice economy, versatility and flexibility with acuities and abilities to just explode on opponents. Also with access to undefendable damage. Jean Grey is a very, very strong hero. And a really good flexible hero. If you're bringing 3, she gives you access to not only undefendable opportunities, but she has a lot of ways where she can play slow, she can play fast, and she can hit very, very hard. So Jean Grey is going to come in at 6th. And these are your top 6 best heroes from last season. We're going to move on to the close, and I'm actually surprised by this one a little bit. Doctor Strange has the 7th best win rate and also has 146 games under his belt. So again, if they're under 50 games, I'm not going to include them in this list. But Doctor Strange, 146 games and a 53.42 win rate. A little surprised by this one. I have dabbled with him a little bit, and he can be extremely strong, especially if he's rolling hot and finding the right cards. But he is definitely a little bit more difficult to pilot. So we do have a couple people in our league that are very good at piloting Doctor Strange, as well as, Shadow Thief and all these guys up here. But I would say amongst these 7, Doctor Strange is likely the most difficult to pilot. And I'm really happy to see some versatility up here at the top. And Doctor Strange, close but no cigar, but still at the top of the quote-unquote A-tier list. Next one I'm less surprised with, Mr. Wolverine himself at a 52.94 win rate. And he has, 153 games. Very similar to Doctor Strange's win rate in games played. Just a nice, aggressive, swing big, hit hard hero. He has some abilities to heal. His defense isn't anything to rave about, but if you can get his severe threat going or his mini alt upgraded and just roll some 6s and drop that rage and discard those cards on the opportune moments, Wolverine is going to be an extremely fun character to learn and play, and he's obviously really strong, making it into the top 8. Again, not wildly surprising, we have Cursed Pirate at number 9, 51.67 win rate, and 269 games, so the 3rd most played hero in the league. Really strong defense, can control cards, can control CP, can hit pretty hard, and when she flips, can hit even harder. If you know how to play Cursed Pirate, and if you're playing an opponent that doesn't have undefendable damage, it's going to be a fast, quick game where you're just going to really, really hurt them badly, and they're probably going to quit Dice Throne. Number 10, Artificer, has a 51.3 win rate, and he has 154 games under his belt for the league. I'm not an Artificer fan. I haven't played him much. I want to, especially with the new artwork coming out. I'm sure most of you have seen the new artwork coming out for January, or for the next season with the Artificer. It looks absolutely cracked. It actually is motivating me to want to play Artificer. And with the Alchemist coming out, I kind of want to have like this little, squad of short little robot potion throwing people. I just think that would be really, really fun to show up with a thematic list of trolls or goblins or whatever these guys are, right? But Artificer, really fun. He's going to struggle against most these guys in the top, right? Iceman, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Thor, they're just going to run him down really, really quickly and not give him enough time to build up his economy. But if he does build up his bots, he's going to be very, very challenging to beat after that. So get him aggroed down quickly and kick his ass. Interesting enough, Captain Marvel barely makes the cut. At 52 games played, she has a 50% win rate. This one is surprising. I have not come across someone that says Captain Marvel is good, but the numbers do not lie, and Captain Marvel is the 11th best win rated hero with 50 or more games under her belt. Um, Relatively simple game plan. If you can get her defense chugging, and if you can, she does have a lot of RNG with her blast. I forgot the name of it, Atomic Blast or Crimson Blast or something like that. So you can definitely high roll games with her, and her defense can definitely help sustain or stabilize. But I was not expecting to see Captain Marvel in the two top tiers. So really, really satisfied to see a champion I wasn't expecting. Next up, we have Gambit. Uh, Really simple game plan: roll sleight of hand, explode cards, hit your opponent fast, hard, and heavy. Not surprising he's up here. He's really easy to pilot. And again, if you can ban, if your opponent only brings one character with a strong defense and you ban it and they don't ban Gambit, it's pretty much GG's. He has a 49.66 win rate with 147 games under his belt. From there, we're going to move into our mid, which I'm a little surprised to see Pyro down here. I'm a little surprised, but I'm also not. At a 49.44 win rate in 178 games, Pyromancer can be countered, right? And a lot of people are aware at how much of a glass cannon she is. So if you can avoid her defense, hit her hard, and have status effect opportunities to remove them from yourself and remove hers, she is definitely something you can contain. You can contain this fire. But I was expecting her win rate to be a little bit higher, but it does make sense in a bring 3 ban 1 that she would be countered, and people would still pick her even though she's countered because she is that strong. I don't think she's a mid tier. I think she's going to be, best or close, but this is where the statistics are putting her, and that's where we're going to keep her. Next up, Black Panther. This one's interesting at 115 games, 48.7 win rate. I love seeing this. I think I had him right in the middle of like high B. And again, he can potentially be problematic for some of these top tier heroes. The ones that hit big, Black Panther's not going to do well against. But the ones that rely on burns like Pyromancer and Jean Grey, or chippy damage or defense that hits you back for damage, like Thor, for instance, or even Iceman and Spider-Man. Not that he's a counter to them, but they swing twice. He gets 2 of those kinetic energies from that. Spider-Man can hit him back on his defense. That's 3. Iceman can hit him back on his defense. That's another 3 kinetics. So I can see how he could potentially counter some of these and make this list. So I'm really excited to see him up here. Next up, I'm actually a big fan of this one because I got to play a little bit more with him going into the holidays. Krampus. Krampus is a sleeper, my friends. He is a control demon. He can hit hard, he can prevent some damage, he can do huge swings. He kind of has a similar game plan to like Paladin and things like that, where you're drawing cards and just and Shadow Thief, where you're just trying to find your dice mods and then you just like explode on your opponent for 25 damage. I think the most I've done with him is 22 for an ultimate, but I'm very happy with my Krampus performance. He does make the cut, I believe, at 60 games and a 48.33 win rate. Really excited to see Krampus fall into this tier. I think people are sleeping on him, and I think he is very, very good. Next up, we have Rogue. I'm actually surprised she's lower than this with 224 games under her belt. I'm surprised that Rogue fell all the way down to the 17th or 16th spot. She's versatile. She has good defense. She has good utility with Skywards and Ionic Energies. But I can say, her influence is also a really strong control element where you're preventing your opponent from rolling. There is some RNG involved, right? If you're missing your Skywards and if your opponent's not getting affected by the influences, so on and so forth, that can be problematic. If you're playing, characters like Raveness, for instance, Raveness never attacks. The Nevermore just keeps pecking you, so she doesn't get any Ionic Energy. So I could see how she may struggle going into the next meta, but she makes it into mid. I thought she'd be a little bit higher because I think she's a really good flexible character in the meta right now, but this is where she landed. Next up, we have Huntress. See, there you go, you Huntress loyalists. Huntress makes the cut barely at 73 games and a 4.795 win rate. I have put more respect on Huntress after being told that she doesn't deserve to be as low as I ranked her in my last tier list. And I can definitely back it up now. Huntress is better than I expected. She is still a little bit difficult to pilot. You need to know what you're doing. But having Naira there against some of the big swingers, against some of the heavy damage, unless your opponent's ulting, they don't really want to swing extremely big. So you're really playing a game of attrition where you're just trying to milk your opponent with little pokes and bleeds and damage over time, and then upgrading your defense and hitting them back harder with that. And if your opponent isn't chippy, if they just do like Wolverine or Jean Grey or Shadow Thief or Gambit, if they're just doing one big attack, well, Huntress can just sacrifice Naira and then revive her the next turn if you pilot it right, or if you're preparing it right. So she can be a really strong counter into this meta, and I'm glad to see Huntress higher than I ranked her, and I apologize to anyone that I disgraced with my last tier list. Next up, we have the Ninja, barely making the mid cut at 47.74 and 155 games. Ninja is an undefendable god. Most of her attacks are going to be undefendable, which can be really, really strong into some of these high defensive heroes. She has Smoke Bomb to avoid really heavy swings as well. Just a really solid character. Not really sure why she ended up so low. I felt like she would be maybe in a close or even up in best, but this is what the data says. Sometimes we're moving down to the next one. We have Cyclops. Cyclops, he does make the cut at 80 games and a 4.75 win rate. I have much more respect for Cyclops after doing a more formal guide on him. I was definitely playing him not wildly correct, and now that I know and understand how to play him more optimally, I think he is better than I gave him credit for before. Save your dice mods, save your cards, save your leadership cards, and just explode on your opponent late game. Cyclops is a play from behind hero. You're not going to be aggressive, and then eventually you're just going to win them over at the end of the game with some really big swings. I thought I'd see Loki a little bit higher, but 45.86 win rate and 133 games. He's in these sometimes. I don't agree with this. I think Loki is extremely good, but we're just going off of what the data says, and Loki's going to fall into the sometimes category. Next up, it would be Storm. But Storm does not make the cut because she does not have enough games under her belt. She is below 50. So we are going to actually put Storm in the did not make the cut. Sorry. Tacticianer 116. He is in the sometimes. Tacticianer, I don't like him. I don't like his playstyle, but he's a sometimes hero. Monk. This one was surprising. Seeing Monk this low at a 43.06 win rate with 144 games is a little bit surprising. I think this is, again, I don't agree with this necessarily on a strength standpoint, but just basing this on the data, he falls down this low on the list. If you play Monk correctly, he can be extremely oppressive, but he can also be very, very poor against certain matchups. So it's justified here, but I still think he should be a little bit higher. Vampire Lord is next at 42.86 and 133 games. Really enjoy Vampire Lord. Very similar playstyle to like a Krampus, a Shadow Thief, a Paladin, where you're just saving up, building your board, doing undefendable damage, and then exploding on your opponent for some huge lifesteal opportunities with an ultimate. Really fun to play, really cool hero. And then barely making the cut. Wow. Barely making the cut is Paladin. This one surprised me. With 194 games, Paladin has a 42.27 win rate. Paladin is extremely good. He has one of the best defenses in the game. He has some of the best economy in the game. Again, not sure how he ended up this low outside of, I think people just know how to counter him at this point. And when you know how to counter something and you bring options to do it, that hero just isn't going to have as good of a win rate, right? Just like in like the TCG world, if everyone's playing the three metas, well, the three metas are going to all have a counter. And if you can bring the counter, well, you're probably going to win 60% of the time because you're only trying to counter that deck or that hero. So I think that's kind of why Paladin ended up so low down here, is simply because of that. And then bottoming out the list, Deadpool did not make the cut. at 42, 2-5, and 71 games. Technically, he made the sometimes cut with the games played, but we already filled up this list with the top 24 heroes based on the season. Seraph did not make the cut. Only 46 games played and a 36.96 win rate. Not that great. Scarlet Witch did make the cut at 72 games, but a 36.11 win rate is not good. She virtually has no defense and is very, very... You either win really quickly or you die very painfully. Barbarian at a 35.71 and only 42 games didn't make the cut. No economy in a game where these guys are all drawing cards and doing cooler things. The Barbarian just falls short. Treant. I'm actually going to try and play Treant a little bit more. I just did a long guide on Season 1 heroes, and I think I understand Treant a lot more after doing this guide. So I'm going to dive more into him. Unfortunately, he didn't make the cut at 43 games and a 34.88 win rate. But we'll see. We'll see if we can change that next season. Next up, we have Santa. 34-2-1 and only 38 games. He's just like a better Barbarian in my opinion, but statistically, he isn't. I really enjoy playing Santa, especially around the holidays. But unfortunately, he just, again, doesn't draw a lot of cards. And in a game where you need to draw cards and these heroes do it better, Santa tends to fall a little bit short. Gunslinger, pretty self-explanatory. An RNG hero that relies on Pistol Whip and certain upgrades. If you don't find them, it's a really, really long game, and you inevitably typically lose. That said, 28 games played, 32-14. I actually have a really good win rate with the Gunslinger, but I do not bring her very often because I just don't think she's very powerful. Samurai at 32% and the lowest games played. Yeah, he's just underpowered in my opinion, and we'll leave it at that. Psylocke at a 37.7 and 52 games. So she made the cut in games played, but she has a very, very bad win rate at 37.7 win rate, 30%, 31% win rate. She's just not doing enough with these heroes up here just doing better things more effectively. Psylocke unfortunately doesn't make the cut. And then lastly, Moon Elf, the basically almost no undefendable damage. She can be really strong defensively, but if you're being hit by undefendable damage and always swinging with defendable damage, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to struggle. It's not going to be that fun. And that is the list. Now, I'm going to do one small little bonus here. I'm going to talk about these outcasts in a second. So we have, in my opinion, the weakest outcast is going to be Necromancer. I'm getting, in full transparency, I've played limited games with these guys at this point because they just came out. But amongst the four of them, I believe the Necromancer is likely the weakest. I would probably put him in the sometimes ranking. I just don't think he's going to be wildly strong. But I may be wrong. I'm still learning him. Actually, let's remove him down here. So he's in the sometimes. Pale Lady, I'd probably put in the mid-range. Somewhere in the mid-range. Really good, strong attacking character. Aggro. And if you don't flip to the werewolf quickly, you can be run down. But I really enjoyed playing the Pale Lady. I feel like some of her cards are a little awkward at times. Most of them are, if you're the Pale Lady, do this, but you don't want to be the Pale Lady, so it's like really counterintuitive. But I could also see how if they made werewolf cards, she would be extremely overpowered. So I appreciate it, I get it, but I think she's going to land somewhere in this mid, maybe close opportunity. Headless Horseman is very strong. Again, I think it's going to be in the close to mid opportunity for Headless Horseman. Some good economy, some good ways to do damage, and a really strong defense. But it's going to require a lot of piloting to get comfortable with him. And then lastly, Raveness is definitely S tier. One of the simplest game plans in the game and one of the most suffocating tokens or status effects in the game. Raveness is easily going to be in this best top tier. Not excited to play against her. Not even really excited to play her, to be honest, because she's just really good and you only do like one or two abilities the entire game. So that is the breakdown based on statistics, not emotions. I appreciate you guys watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll talk soon.